Three, two, one. Hi, everybody. This is the YR World webinar series, and today we are joined by Ono, who's joining us from Chicago in the USA, but she is going to describe the experiences of being a data scientist in her native Mongolia. So, just to clarify, the YR World webinar series is a series of interviews from our users, but not just our users, mostly our users, but data scientists all over the world, or anybody who can bring a very that bring their perspective of what it's like to join the R community, the Python community, or other communities, and sort of how they interact with that sort of greater data science community. So thanks for joining us. You are joining us from Chicago, but you're originally from Mongolia. Sorry, just actually, let's start off a little bit of a introduction to yourself.
Yeah. So I am a Mongolian, of course. I came here like to do my master's. Actually, I started with MBA. But then when we are doing MBA at University of Illinois at Chicago, there is 6 specializations we have to pick one from. So when I was looking through the specializations, I found out business analytics is more to my background. By the way, my background is computer engineering in undergraduate degree, and I have worked as a software developer and application architect in my country for like almost a decade. So business analytics looked very interesting to me. And then when I took the first course, which was statistics for managers, and it was teaching statistics and also R. So that's how I found my passion in data science, I could say.
Excellent. So just let's talk about your original background in Mongolia. You said you've done computer science or computer engineering in college.
Yep.
Just tell us all about your early career there, and just also actually tell us all about Mongolia as well. We're very curious about Mongolia.
I see. So because we are very, I could say I'm part of that unique generation back in Mongolia. So when we were kids, it was still a communist era. But then when we become adults, the Mongolia changed into democratic system. So everything was like chaos for us. So when I was choosing undergraduate degree, everything was still messy, but somehow I ended up choosing computer engineering as a degree, although my parents wanted medicine, you know. And I was lucky enough to go to Turkey for undergraduate degree, but I immediately turned back to Mongolia, and I started working as at first a component tester in a software development company, and then I switched to software developer. For a while, it was a very small startup kind of software development company. And then from there, I got offer from a mining company. If you have heard it in Mongolian context, it's Oyu Tolgoi mining company, subsidiary of Rio Tinto. So I worked there again for like 2 years as a software developer. I was promoted to application architect IT, and then I was actually having fun working with Australian side of IT team, etc. But then there was opportunity to pursue master's degree in the US, so that's how I came here.
Excellent. Is there a very big technology sector in Mongolia? I mean, there's not known about Mongolia, but I actually do know a few technologists from Mongolia. So is there like a big industry there?
I would say, especially in IT, like there is technological advancement back in Mongolia. For example, up until 2005 or let's say 2010, we were using outside software technology for banking software, but the company I was working for, software development company, Grape City, Mongolia, they have built their own core banking system, and most of the banks are still using it today. So in my opinion, that's a big thing for us, like for a small company, for a small country like us.
Yeah.
And IT is still a area where government is not, meddling much. So people are still trying to do something to the outside, to the world, and there are some companies like led by younger generation. They are selling softwares to the outside, to Philippines, or especially to the US, etc. But they are not much, like one or two companies, but still we are trying to do what we can.
Okay. This is a question would resonate with a lot of our ladies and pie ladies around the world. When you were an undergraduate, was there, were you the only woman in the course, or was it many, or was it different? Like when I taught students, computer science students, there was usually only one or two female students out of the whole class.
Yeah. Actually, in undergraduate degree, like out of 100 students, maybe 10 of them were women.
Okay.
I didn't feel that much outnumbered. But then when I came back to Mongolia, when I started working, I really see like few women back in the field. Like there were maybe 20 to 1, something like that. And also it was a little bit tricky to stay in the field, especially for a woman. The salary was not good because country was still thriving, and also job was not much. So only people who could survive in the field were the ones who can stay for longer hours and don't have much home obligation, etc. So it was tricky. Yeah.
Okay. Just actually, you sort of said you started off with a general computing degree. So when did you go in the direction of data science and analytics?
So back when I was working with that Grape City, Mongolia, I for a short time I was appointed as product manager. So I'm responsible for this mini banking software system that was used by non-financial organizations. That means financial organizations, but non-banking organizations. So they still have this banking operations, but not exactly banks, small size financial organizations. So I was responsible for that product. And so customers, they would always, because I'm a product manager, they would always call me for many different questions or challenges they are facing with the product. So one main area for challenges they had was like, how can we get this data from this system? So if it's in the built-in report, I would show them that report. But if there was no report related to that data, then I have to extract that. I was writing query to extract that data from their database. So, when I was writing those queries in SQL, I was kind of like realizing, oh, this is interesting. There are so many data in the data warehouse, but people are not aware of it, and they are not exactly using it. That's how I got my first taste in analytics. So I would say SQL was my first spark in the field.
Okay, good stuff. Mentioning SQL, just actually, do you have any favorite, or do you have a long relationship with the likes of R or Python, or other platforms like Tableau?
I would say because I started this machine learning thing, data science thing with R, I would say my favorite is R, but definitely if you go to the industry, Python is favored more by the people. So right now what I'm doing is for simple analysis, I'm keeping R on my hand, but then for automating those scripts and making it everyday automatic task, I'm using Python. So
Yeah, it's good. I do favor the mixing and combining the workflows of
yeah,
multiple languages. I'm very language agnostic myself, because different situations like
yeah, it
favor
requires everything,
different
right?
workflows. Yeah. Like the that's interesting. Just actually, out of curiosity now, going back to your native Mongolia, is there much like our communities, meetups, conferences, anything like that? I know that there's a Women in Machine Learning Data Science chapter there. So give us a little bit of a background there about that aspect.
So that woman in machine learning and data science chapter, they actually registered right before COVID era. So they registered and asked me to advise on it, on their planning, etc., on whole operation. But then in January 2020, China had big surge in COVID, and because we are close. Actually, China is our neighbor. That's
Yeah.
how we went into lockdown way before US or way before Europe. So they were not able to do much gathering or much meeting because of that COVID situation. But since we are adapting to remote work, I think we are picking it up right now.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
And for example, conferences. Is there, like, for example, a Python conference in Mongolia? Have you ever come across anything like that?
Not exactly Python, I would say, but there are like summer courses
Yeah.
on machine learning and deep learning in Mongolia, and most of them are taught by the professionals in the area, Facebook AI employee, etc. They are organizing summer courses, and
Yeah.
then also there is a machine learning UB community who are organizing hackathons, like 4 competitions in 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year like that. So those kind of organizations are going on, and especially I'm happy for this woman in machine learning and data science chapter, because like not there aren't many of us,
Yeah.
right? Especially women in the machine learning. So I think I can do something with this chapter.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Well, hopefully you'll thrive in the future. Hopefully, when the
Yeah.
COVID crisis, it will like get a chance to thrive.
Yeah, and also it was a good chance to meet other women in the
Yeah.
area, which I didn't know much about. So that's a good thing, in my opinion.
Excellent. Just actually a quick question with regard to language barriers. I know that people around the world have like mentioned language barriers as an
Yeah.
obstacle that they had to face in their data science career. What would be your perspective on that, or your experience with that?
How can I say? Because my undergraduate degree was at the American University in Turkey. In terms of language, of course, it was not that difficult for me, but still, like, I have to learn some words religiously, like not knowing the meaning. And then way later than I learned the subject, sometimes it hits my mind like, oh, deviation is really originates from deviate, not exactly like the formula I memorized. So of course there is some kind of language barrier, which is why I'm working with friends to trying to translate. For example, there is a word in Mongolian that means deviate, but we haven't used it exactly for standard deviation. So I'm trying to pick up those kind of translations also back in Mongolian, so that people would understand what we mean standard deviation in machine learning.
Yeah.
But of course, there are some people like, oh, you shouldn't translate that because it will be way different than the English version, and people would confuse when they see English term.
Okay.
So we are divided into two parts. So
that's a very interesting. That's very interesting question, because I know there's no simple answers for that.
Yeah.
Just as a quick remark, let's. This is the Mongolian language. It's a very distinct language in its own right. There's how many speakers around the world? 2 or 3 million, something like that.
So the population of Mongolia is 3 million, but if you want to count inner Mongolians who are speaking Mongolian, maybe we can add a few more millions.
Yeah.
And also the Buryats in Russia, they also speak a little bit different version of Mongolia. So maybe you can add a few million from there too.
Yeah.
So why don't we count it as 5 or 6 million?
Okay, yeah, 5 or 6. So that like in the grand scheme of things, it's a large enough language. It's probably at the same level as, let's say, Swedish.
Yeah, exactly.
Hungarian, that are Czech, but still, still not a critical mass that they. But so that you will still feel the influence of English. That's a very interesting discussion, and I'll be interested to see how that goes on in the future. So, but that's we'll have to just wait and see how that turns out. I know that other. I had somebody on this interview series who talked about trying to automate the process as much as possible to sort of speed things up, but I'm not sure if that would. That was for Spanish.
There are some works on the way to translate English to Mongolian and Mongolian to English. There is an app called Chimege, which has speech recognition and also translation, but I'm not sure. When I looked around that Chimege app, they are some of them are using saying it's using Google Translate for translation, but some of on their introduction to the app, it's written that they are using their own translation model. So there is some things in the work. And actually in my final year in master program, I made a small size English to Mongolian translation model, but because of the training data, it's not in a good shape, but I'm still trying to continue the work.
Yeah. Just on a remark there, the Mongolian language, does it use the same script as Russian, the Cyrillic script, Russian, and is that correct?
Actually, let me say about Mongolian for a little bit from the start. So Mongolian is considered in Uyghur Altai language group. This group has Japanese and Turkish too. But these two languages are way different than Mongolian, but the sentence structure in 3 languages are same. So Mongolian is that Altaic language, in Altaic language group, and right before 1930s, we were using this top to down Mongolian script as an alphabet.
Okay.
But then in 1930, we picked up Cyrillic alphabet.
Okay. Would it be? Is that correct that the Mongolian script actually features on the Mongolian flag?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have to get a picture of the Mongolian flag. So that's
you should.
That's interesting. Just actually tell me, we won't delay now some more because we've actually have a big go. This has been a very good interview. I've got 1 or 2 questions left actually. So you have gone to the USA now, and you're in Chicago. How long have you been in Chicago?
For doing masters, like 3 years, and then working here for 1 year, so it's 4 years.
Okay. And
Yeah.
out of curiosity, is there like a big Mongolian diaspora around the world? I actually know some Mongolians in Ireland. One of our
There
colleagues from the
are
YR Foundation is from Mongolia.
there are many Mongolians in Chicago area. Actually, I heard it's around 10,000 Mongolians living in Chicago area, and also there is a big flow to US as IT professionals from Mongolia too. So I'm mostly connected with the IT professionals in the US. We have our own Facebook group.
Okay.
And we do something like monthly or bi-monthly events, like teaching ourselves or giving presentations ourselves, like on a specific topic in one event. So we do those kind of things here.
Excellent. If you don't mind, what we will do is we might add your Twitter handle to the page. So does anybody who would like to reach out to you can contact you about this?
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'm all about advertising, machine learning, and also Mongolia, so I don't mind.
Excellent, good stuff. Just actually, well, finally, just how was your interactions with the local community in Chicago and the Midwest USA, like the R group or the Python groups or anything like that? Have you had time to be involved with it there?
Actually, I went to Our Ladies event a few times, not exactly organizer way.
Yeah.
I participated like a few events way before COVID time. And then at one time I showcased my work in R. So that's my participation, just with the R Ladies, not on the Python part.
R Ladies is perfectly fine. Just actually out of curiosity, what's your own sort of personal favorites with R? Do you have any particular packages? I mean, a lot of people will sort of say start off with tidyverse, and of course, like it's a very good sort of system of packages. But just besides the core ones, like anything you like.
Besides the core one, right now I'm trying to pick up ggplot. Way nicer than the basic plotting functions. So ggplot, and then also I like to use R Markdown for presenting my analysis.
Excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So that's great. That's been a really great interview. We better sort of let you go there. So that was great.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. I'm just going to stop recording now.
Thank you.